episode of The Mind of Reese. In today's episode, we are going to talk all things visibility, virality, and volume. So hold on to your butts and stick around. If you have ever watched someone go viral or have a massive launch and thought, how the fuck does she do that? How the fuck does she do that, right? I'm going to break down the difference between being visible and being felt, between posting and actually selling. And what really separates the women who whisper and get paid from the ones who are yelling into the motherfucking void and wanting attention from the fucking algorithm, okay? So you know that like hype girl era, right? Like, you know that hype girl era. I feel like in the very beginning of everybody's business, when it comes to like this hype girl energy, right? That energy of, let me turn it up. Let me get loud. Let me dance around like a fucking dancing monkey on stories and ride this momentum train all the way through my launch. And hey, that shit fucking works, right? I love it. Like, don't get it twisted. Like, I love it when I get into my manic modes of like when I'm in a launch, which honestly, I'm always selling something. So I'm always pretty hyper. So how do we sustain that, like that momentum and sustaining it from like an anchored place, not from a place of like, here, let me just get really crazy and get really hypey. You know, I feel like what's really missing in the when high-level women are asking, how do I surpass this aspect of constant hype energy when they're selling and launching and trying to go visible, trying to get more volume within their one-to-many offers. They want to remove the hype energy. They want to remove this like performance feel to it. They want it to be easy. And hey, that hype energy fucking worked, right? You did it. You hyped, you sold, you built a 2-week content plan that made people pay the fuck attention. But then you got to the end of the launch and thought, why do I feel so mentally exhausted? And then also somewhat physically even, right? Like you're tired, like in your bones because you feel like you have to perform again tomorrow to keep up the momentum. Now raise your hand if you've ever felt that. And especially right now when we're coming off the back end of like holidays, everyone's been on for weeks, you know, really getting into that last level of like, how can we end 2025 with like a fucking bang? So you're selling in the back end and the front end and you're doing all these things. And now you went through like the momentum, the revenue spikes, the visibility peaks, and now it's quiet because you got off the back end of just like holiday season. You hung out with your family. You got a little quieter. Engagement starts to slow. Sales begin to dip and your brain starts to looking for anything to sustain the dopamine hit. So what do? You start spiral chat GBTing strategy, right? You start gaslighting yourself into urgency. You convince yourself that you're falling behind and your nervous system starts scrambling for control. Like, let's talk recurring revenue income. Let's relaunch this thing. Let's tweak this funnel, right? But deep down, you're not actually afraid of low sales. You're afraid you'll never feel that momentum again. Like for some reason, all that momentum only happened when you were in the hype, when you were in the manic energy. That hype girl got you here, but she can't take you where you're going because hype really isn't the problem. We want to be excited about what it is we're selling. Of course, it's magnetic, but there's disconnection in it. And this is where you meet your next level edge. Because you're sitting there asking yourself, why does the hype girl momentum feel so fucking exhausting? Like, yes, I love my manic energy. My baseline is joy. I'm a chaos kitten with a dream. But I also want to be able to sustain the momentum and not chase it. And here's the thing. Most people think momentum means more. Most high-level women in business think momentum means more posts, more strategy, more visibility hacks, more offers, more adrenaline. But the next level of momentum is subtle and it's somatic. And it's not about being everywhere. It's about being felt even in the silence. Because when your body carries real momentum, you're not having to yell. Your presence does the pulling for you. And that's the difference between strategy and energetic authority. And this is what I like to call the invisible sales system. You already have your visible sales systems. You're smart bitches, okay? You've got it down. You've got your funnels. You've got your offers. You've optimized your bio, your content. You've been through the courses, right? You've nailed the messaging blocks. You're not fucking confused. But the thing that high level, high achieving women who are here to take over the motherfucking world, who are here for world domination, fame and fortune, snapping necks, cashing checks. The thing that these women ignore or think they will just develop with time. Oh, the more I scale, the more this will just develop, is the very thing that would make all of that strategy work 10 times harder for you. Hi, Bubba. Got my big old dog in the background here. Because that strategy is not what makes you magnetic, right? It's what your body believes when you hit publish. It's what your audience feels in their nervous system before they ever read your fucking words. It's the somatic signal underneath your marketing that says, I trust myself deeply. I don't need sales to prove anything. I hold high level conviction that my work fucking works. I know I can deliver what I promise and I am an expert. This is me, right? This is the reason why when people land on my page, they always wonder, wow, Reese, you have such incredible energetic authority. Immediately people want to lean in. I am an expert at energetic authority. This is because I focus so hard on the uncancelable woman. And I didn't learn that from a module. I learned that from 16 years in business through 3 different companies, each taken to multi 6 and 7 figures, and years of watching my own pattern loops over and over and over again. Immediately watching myself go, okay, we're going into a launch or we're going into selling this offer. Whatever it is, the moment where you hit the record-breaking launch and still feel fucking tired. You're not tired from the launch. You're tired from the performance it took to sustain that launch. And then what do? We convince ourselves we need to keep up the momentum when really we're avoiding the grief of how heavy success now feels. You want to know how some women make it look so easy? It's not because they have alignment or that they're the chosen one. It's because they've stopped leaking energy by trying to be palatable. And I'm not talking about, oh, I just, this hope then pray that they'll like me, or this palatability that is so obvious to beginner entrepreneurs. No, I'm talking about subtle palatability. I'm talking about subtle dilution. I'm talking about what got you here, and yet there's a deep underlying fear, not a conscious one, but it's subconscious, unconscious one that quietly sabotages what it is that you say and how it is you say it. Because what? Your mind believes that your work works, but does your body fully feel that conviction? Do you, your body, know it to your bones? So I always think of this in like villain era energy, the villains, like why villains always get what they want, why you think bad people always get what they want. They're not weighed down by the approval complex. They've made peace with being misinterpreted. Their psyche isn't fractured when it's time to be seen. And meanwhile, the hero, right, the good girl, she's still playing by the rules she never agreed to. She's still trying to get an A+ in a system that profits off of her fucking obedience. And look, at the beginning of that bit of your business, that served you. You needed the validation. This is what happens to all artists. As you know, you are an artist. All artists in the beginning of their maturation within their business, within their art, all need someone to tell me, hey, we're good enough. Hey, that's good enough. In order to continuously grow, incrementally grow, linearly grow, right? You needed the dopamine hit of being told you were good at what you do. But now you're not chasing validation. You're anchoring in that next level of certainty. And I'm not talking about outcome certainty. I'm not talking about external certainty. You got no control over that shit. Okay? Let that shit go. Okay? How liberating it is to know I have no control over that. I only need to control here. What's in here? Right? What's going on here? I'm talking about identity certainty. The kind that says, even when it's quiet, I'm still moving. Even when I'm not posting, my posts are working for me. And my presence is still doing more than any fucking algorithm ever could. That's the frequency of sustainability. That's the frequency of inevitability. That's how your name ends up in rooms you've never fucking entered. That's how you become a woman they whisper around dinner tables as dinner talk conversations. So no, it's not about holding more. Sorry, NS girlies out there, nervous system girlies out there. I'm not here to help you hold more or to regulate. I am here to help you expand your somatic capacity for power, influence, conviction, and anchored authority. So that when virality comes, when visibility floods in, when volume increases, it doesn't fry your circuits, it fuels your movement. And so funny thing is that when I realized this, I realized I wasn't selling from this aliveness anymore, okay? Obviously. Like I realized this. I was like, what is this like extra little secret sauce that I needed to understand in order for me to really realize that it doesn't actually have to be harder, that I can have my content 10x work harder for me instead of me work harder for it. I realized I wasn't selling from aliveness anymore. I was selling from memory, from a nervous system still trying to outrun the last collapse. It's the reason why after one launch, if it did really fucking well, you're like, yes. And if it didn't do well, you crash, you collapse. If it didn't do what you wanted it to do, you collapse. And when it did do what you wanted it to do, you went, yes, we gotta keep going. And you keep going and you keep going. And you don't necessarily burn out, because burnout, what the fuck is that? We love our businesses. We love running our businesses. But there is an energetic shift within you that feels like, wow, do I have to keep this up in order for me to continue to scale? Honestly, everything changed the moment I stopped obsessing over the strategy and started obsessing over my energy. I'm scaling psychosomatically at full fucking speed because every offer, every launch, every ecosystem I create is built body first and strategy second. Because the truth is, it's not what you're doing that creates momentum, it's who you are being while you are doing it. And that's what your audience feels. That's what hits their nervous system. That's what ruptures identities inside of your content. And that's why it turns a post into a purchase. You want virality, you want visibility, you want volume in your business. We all know that 2026 is all about visibility, volume, and virality. It means more eyes. But what happens when we have more eyes? That means more opportunities to be judged, to be misinterpreted, to be misunderstood. And those subtle little understandings your body knows considers that risk and considers that danger to belonging. And your body only wants to do one thing, is to belong. So what do we have to do? Expand our somatic capacity in order for us to already create belonging within ourselves so that we can say the thing out loud with conviction, and that makes most people choke. You know, it's so funny. I realized the moment that I started getting really mean to y'all is the moment you paid me. Very interestingly enough. And while we can boil it down to that, obviously I'm doing a lot more than just being mean, but I am willing to say the things that most people won't say. And if we're really being honest, you want the visibility, virality, and volume, right? The self-sabotage that happens underneath it all. It doesn't always scream. Sometimes it whispers through your delivery. It shows up in dilution. It's performative in the clarity, right? It micromanages the content. It keeps you 1 foot out the door just in case you're misinterpreted or misunderstood. And so when I implemented the unspoken edge, everything shifted. That's when I had my very first $80,000 launch, the first year of business. The first year I actually created this side hustle, because I was running a whole other company in tattooing. A side hustle in coaching had my first 80K launch. That's when I had my first 100K launch. And that's when I hit my first $500,000 year. We are on our fourth $500,000 year because I stopped outsourcing my power to strategy and I focused instead on energetic authority. And that's how I could take any new strategy, run it through my own body, and turn it into something that felt like mine. That's when you stop being a student of the game and start becoming a category of fucking one. That's why I have over 200 people enroll in a $33 offer and turn it into $60K cash, $85K total sales, and a multi-six-figure year before January even started. I have recurring revenue of multi-six figures already for 2026 before it even started. That is not a fluke. And it's not just a good fucking offer. It's the identity behind the offer. It's the edge embedded in the marketing. It's the coherence in the message. I've built a brand on visibility, virality, and volume. I've built a TikTok with over 500K followers. I have an Instagram with over 170 whatever thousand followers. I built a new TikTok with over 10,000 followers within the last 3 to 5 months. The thing is that, but what most people don't see is the invisible sales system underneath it. Because attention is currency. If people are going to tell you, oh, followers don't equal money, yeah, sure. The wrong followers don't equal money, especially if you're doing virality wrong. There's a wrong and a right way to do these things. But attention equals currency. And if your body can't hold attention, you will repel it the moment you get it. Everyone wants visibility. Everyone wants to go viral. Everyone wants volume, and they want to sell their one-to-many offers. But most people are still asking, what's the best hook? What's the formula? What's the strategy? And they miss the fact that what you say matters less than who you are when you say it. Your audience can feel the difference between borrowed conviction and embodied truth. They can feel when your content is coming from certainty versus performance. That's why you're going to comment edge and you're going to get into the unspoken edge. Okay? Because I'm going to teach you why every time I open a low ticket offer, I get 100 plus people in the door. And that's why I can convert a $33 product and turn it into a $100K launch. That's why I can sell to the most intelligent, self-led, high level women on the internet. Because I don't pander to being liked. I lean in to being trusted. Because I'm going to break this down for you really quickly here. I'm going to tell you something that's going to blow your motherfucking brain. People don't need to like you to buy from you. They need to trust you. And trust doesn't come from personality. It comes from conviction. And triggering, gosh, what is that about? I don't want to trigger my people. Fucking trigger your people. Let them be intelligent human beings that they know how to walk themselves through it. And if they don't, they're not your people. If they get mad at you, they're not your people. But if they do know how to walk through it, which is the reason why I have the ability to be able to call in the right people, be triggering to your people. The thing is the reason why you don't want to be triggering is because you do not know how to integrate when you are triggered. Instead, what do? We outsource it. We say, you're the problem. You know what a shadow is? Shadow isn't knowing all the things you know you don't like about yourself or that you don't accept about yourself. It's all the things you don't accept in others. That's the real shadow, because those are the invisible ones that you don't see or just don't want to see. And so when I can own that, when I take responsibility for my shadow, I can say it out loud and be completely unbothered when people come at me with their reasons why this or that, I'm a bad person, I am not humble, all of these things. And I'm like, you're right. Whatever your projections are, you're right. Plus your projections, pay for my luxury events. See, the most profitable content I've ever written was also the most triggering. You're afraid to be too much. I built a business on that. You think visibility is risky? I made a movement because of that. Call it the uncancelable woman. You're diluting the very edge that would double your income because you've been taught to be palatable before being paid. That ends fucking now. You're not new to this. You've built the foundations. God, I love a sexy man that's so protective. You've built this brand, but now you're ready for your villain fucking era. You're ready for your uncancelable era. The one where your visibility doesn't require your fucking obedience. But to become the uncancelable woman is not about holding more. It's about expanding your somatic capacity for visibility, virality, and volume without fucking flinching. It's about walking into the spotlight and not diluting a single fucking word. You keep thinking strategy will save you, that content will be the conversion, the right hook, the right offer, the right vibe will finally flip the fucking switch. But your audience doesn't move because your words are so good. They move because your body believes them. They move because your nervous system transmit, I trust myself to be seen. I trust myself to be paid. I trust myself to trigger and still be chosen. People don't need to believe you. Hear me when I say this. I want you to write this down for yourself. People don't need to believe you. They just need to believe that you believe you. And that is the invisible sales system that scales you to your next level. That's the edge that sells before your CTA even locks down. That's the edge that collapses objections before they form. That's the edge that we will unlock together in the Unspoken Edge. Okay, for a woman who's ready to scale through her presence. So if you want content that pierces the algorithm and the psyche, conviction that makes you impossible to fucking ignore, volume, virality, visibility that feels like power, then this is your moment. And guess what? No fucking brainer, $11 fucking dollars. So comment the edge. The portal is fucking open. And I'll send you the fucking link. I love you guys so fucking much. Say goodbye, Goose Man.